After 40 years of marriage, he left his wife nothing. No house, no money, no respect, just a rusty key and an address no one had ever heard of. But what she found behind that door made everyone who betrayed her regret everything. Peggy Morrison was 68 years old, and for 4 decades, she had been the perfect wife. She cooked, she hosted, she stayed quiet, and she gave everything to a life that was never truly hers. Her husband, Richard, was powerful, respected, and wealthy, but his children never accepted her. To them, she was just the secretary who married their father. Still, Peggy tried. Every birthday remembered, every holiday prepared, every smile forced through years of silent rejection. She believed that one day it would matter. Then one morning, Richard died. No warning, no goodbye, just silence. A week later, they gathered for the will. Peggy sat alone, while his 3 children sat together across the table, calm and confident. The lawyer began reading. The mansion went to the children. The money went to the children. The investments went to the children. Peggy felt her chest tighten as reality slowly crushed her. Then, with a trembling voice, she asked, "What about me?" The lawyer paused, then read words that shattered her completely. He said that Peggy had lived comfortably at Richard's expense for 40 years, and that was more than enough. That was her compensation. Not love, not partnership, compensation. 40 years of loyalty reduced to a transaction. Then came her inheritance, a small house in a town no one had ever heard of, and a single rusty key. That was it. Across the table, they smiled. For the next 30 days, they treated her like she didn't exist, walking through her home, planning renovations, discussing sales, while she was still living there, like she was already gone. At night, Peggy couldn't sleep. Fear wrapped around her chest like a weight she couldn't lift. She had nothing, no job, no money, no future. At 68 years old, she was starting from zero. And the worst part wasn't losing everything. It was believing that none of it had ever meant anything, that he never loved her. On the final day, she packed her life into a few bags, got into her car, and drove to the address. The town was small, quiet, almost strange. People looked at her as she passed, not with suspicion, but with recognition, like they had been waiting. When she reached the house, she froze, because it wasn't broken, it wasn't worthless, it was beautiful, old, peaceful, surrounded by towering trees, like something hidden from the world on purpose. Before she could understand it, an elderly woman approached her and said something that stopped her heart. "We've been waiting for you." Peggy stared at her, confused. "Waiting? For me?" The woman nodded gently. "Your husband told us about you years ago." Inside the house, Peggy discovered something she never expected. Photographs, hundreds of them, of her, laughing, cooking, living. Moments she didn't even know were captured. This wasn't just a house. It was a sanctuary, a place built with quiet love. Then she found the letter. Her hands trembled as she opened it. "My dearest Peggy, I'm sorry. I couldn't show you the truth while I was alive. They were always watching, so I gave them what they wanted and hid what truly mattered. This house, this life, it was always yours. You were never second. You were everything." Peggy broke down. For the first time since his death, she understood. He didn't abandon her. He protected her. Days later, his children arrived, angry and demanding. They wanted the property. They thought they had won everything. But Peggy was no longer the quiet woman they remembered. She looked them in the eyes, calm and unshaken, and said, "This was never yours." For the first time in 40 years, she didn't stay silent. And that silence breaking changed everything. They left with nothing. And Peggy? She finally started living, not as someone's wife, not as someone's shadow, but as herself. At 68 years old, her life wasn't over. It was just beginning. So tell me honestly, if you were in her place, would you forgive him or walk away forever?